In this video, I'm going to talk about neighborhoods you want to move to and stay away from the Karens. I'm just kidding. The word Karen is really negative.
Karen? Yeah, Karen.
I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
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 Karen is associated with people who are kind of nosy and then they tell on you, almost like a tattletale.
Oh, Perry, nobody likes a tattletale.
For the sake of this video, Karens will equal HOAs. And I want to touch on HOAs really quickly. This is something that we hear a lot. A lot of people have a negative perception of HOAs.
And Karen.
Me, myself, I was pretty much indifferent because I never lived in a place with an HOA. Even my first house in Texas, we did not have an HOA. A lot of people that I knew across the country live in places that don't have HOAs and they really hate it.
Not that bad.
Unfortunately, Fort Wayne is one of those places where pretty much 90% of all subdivisions have HOAs. There's almost no way around it. I can't speak on the behalf of the HOA. I know my HOA, they improve the signs in the neighborhood and they give us a great 4th of July fireworks show. That's pretty much it. There's nothing I can do about it. It's not that expensive. I think ours is maybe $400 a year, $200 every 6 months or something like that. Most HOAs are not that expensive. Some as low as $100 a year to maybe upwards of maybe $500 to $600 a year. So in this video, I'm gonna do two things. I'm gonna go over the north side of town. I'm gonna take you to Puffer Belly Trail. Okay, and there's a third thing. I'm gonna talk about HOAs. The reason we're on the north side of town is because this is the side of town that I live on, and I wanna take you down Puffer Belly Trail. So I'm gonna break down the different parts of the Fort Wayne trail system. The Puffer Belly Trail is the northern part of that trail system. I'm gonna go on a run today. Along the way, I'll tell you about some cool places, some neighborhoods, places along the trail that you may wanna stop if you're visiting Fort Wayne, or even if you live here and you've never been on Puffer Belly Trail. But let's talk a little bit more about HOAs, or Karens, is what the top of the video was talking about. I'm associating Karens with HOAs, but we hear this a lot from people thinking about moving here. They say they wanna move to an area or to a neighborhood with no HOA. Well, there's an actual thing I researched that Fort Wayne has over 300 HOAs and neighborhood associations. So the odds of you finding a subdivision without an HOA are very, very low. But it's a good thing you're watching these videos, because in between all these little subdivisions are still little pockets of acres, 4 to 5 acres, 10 or so acres. And along these back roads like Dunton, for example, if you go down Dunton, you'll see a house just about half a mile to a mile back off the road. Those homes don't come on the market very often. If you see those kinds of houses, they're not in the HOA, you kind of got to move quickly on those because they're few and far between. So if you're looking for a house without an HOA, with a little bit of land, you're going to be looking for those small roads in between these subdivisions. Those are your best shot, or you got to move outside of probably Allen County, going towards Whitley County, Cherubusco, Columbia City, maybe Albion, something like that. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Knowe. Me and my wife Francesca, we help people move to, from, and around Fort Wayne. We also do videos for people who know nothing about Northeast Indiana. They've never heard of Fort Wayne, and they're thinking about moving here, and they're trying to compare it to the current city that they're living in to make the decision if it's worth the move, or maybe they're considering a couple different job offers in different cities, and they're trying to research, okay, which city is best for me? Let me jump into the trail system, and while I talk about the trail system, I'll talk about the neighborhoods and homes that are along the trail system as we go through this video. Fort Wayne Trails has a project to connect the north side of town going all the way past Huntertown, like up to show pretty much out of Fort Wayne, to go all the way south through downtown, all the way down to Bluffton. So this is a multi-year project. The process goes something like this. They identify the areas that still need to be completed and which area is the best to complete that part of the trail. This is a 2 to 5 year process where they basically have to get surveys, look for wetlands, any endangered areas. They're looking for utilities and those kinds of things. They also have to generate the funds for the project. The cost of every mile of the trail is somewhere between $800,000 to $1.2 million. So this trail system, I forget the length, but it's extremely long. Currently, I'm standing on the completed portion of Puffer Belly Trail. My subdivision is slightly north of here. So if you want to find any of these trails, you're going to be just on the east side of the city, not very far, about a half a mile or a mile east of the city. And when you travel north of town, Lima Road, State Road 3 is the road that takes you north of town. This portion of the trail runs parallel to State Road 3 or Lima Road. This specific section that I'm standing in is between Gump Road and Hathaway Road. On the east side of this trail is two subdivisions, luxury subdivisions, Whisper Rock and Ashland Passage. They were built by Lancia Homes back around 2014, 2016. Whisper Rock and Ashland Passage is 152 acres. There are 192 lots, 192 homes for sale between the two subdivisions. This used to be known as Ponytown. Ponytown was a place where people could come and spend time with ponies, do pony rides. The owner of Ponytown died in 2012, so their family decided to sell off the land around about 2014 or so, and this is when this subdivision was developed. Now, along the trail system are trailheads. Standing next to me to my right is Peyton Park Trailhead. At those trailheads, they have picnic benches, places where you can grill sometimes, and then there's other paths for you to walk, little trails into the woods. So a lot of times when people say that they don't want to live in Fort Wayne, Indiana, sometimes I think they may not fully understand that we're over 161 square miles or so, about the size of Orlando. The very northern portion of Fort Wayne is kind of still a little rural. And as you can see, a lot of these houses have a big lot, pond views, and they're still surrounded by a lot of greenery, a lot of forestry. And this is something that you may want to think about if you're thinking about moving to Fort Wayne, is finding a subdivision or a place along one of these trail systems, because it's a really added benefit when it's time to walk your dogs, hang out with your kids, or get some exercise like myself. And when I first moved here, this was just an added bonus. I really didn't think about the distance of walking trails close to my house. I mean, maybe it's because I didn't grow up with walking trails near my house. I mean, I grew up in South Carolina and Georgia and in the South. They didn't really have hiking trails back then. And we just ran into the bushes. There was always woods somewhere near where we would go and get blackberries and little fruit and wild berries and bring them back and eat. So the closest thing that I can remember to my childhood to having hiking trails were dirt roads and little paths in the woods. But it's a good thing we have paved roads now, and that's a little bit better on your ankles. Speaking of walking trails, this is exactly what I remember. Just little paths in the forest that we used to find when I was growing up in South Carolina and Georgia. But thank God we've evolved, and now we have walking paths. Here we're at Peyton Park. We just came off of Pufferbelly Trail down to this trailhead, and you can find little walking paths such as the one behind me. This is one of the added bonuses, these hiking trails that are close to subdivisions. It's one of those things that can come in handy if you're trying to decide between buying a house here. Let's just say you decide to move to Fort Wayne, but you're looking at a house that's close to a trail and another house that's not close to a trail, but they're the same price. You're like, oh, okay, well, this one's better because the amenities are a little bit better as far as my lifestyle, if you are more of an outdoors type of person. Speaking of amenities, I want to draw a distinction between the north side of Fort Wayne and the south side of Fort Wayne. I was talking to one of the clients that we helped move here last year, and they discussed that southwest side of town has more commercial amenities. They've got more restaurants, they've got more shopping outlets, but they have less outdoor life and stuff like that. Now, the north side of Fort Wayne has come a long way since we've moved here. The closest grocery store used to be down on DuPont, which was about 5 miles away from the subdivision. Also, the closest gas station wasn't that close either. But since we've moved here, they've placed 2 more gas stations. They've got a Pizza Hut and a Dairy Queen up here. They're building more subdivisions, newer subdivisions, because there's more land available here. So it's becoming less rural, but that's the biggest distinction between North Fort Wayne and South Fort Wayne. This upper portion of Fort Wayne, this north portion, has less amenities. This area, more specifically, is known as Perry Township. So Fort Wayne is made up of different townships. So Perry Township starts at DuPont and goes all the way north, just north of Gump Road, about to Shoaf Road. So that's the last township. It includes the city of Huntertown and a little portion of Churubusco, or correction, a little portion of Columbia City and Churubusco, I think. So we're a little bit down further on the trail. We're here at the Life Bridge trailhead near Life Bridge Church. Now, this specific trailhead is right next to Tuscany subdivision. We've talked about this area before. This is technically my favorite subdivision in all of Fort Wayne, mainly because all of these subdivisions were built after 2010, but prior to the pandemic. So these are luxury homes prior to the pandemic. And prior to the pandemic, you can get more from builders back then. It was cheaper, materials were cheaper, labor was cheaper. So you actually got more bang for your buck. It's a funny story. A lot of these houses, luxury when we first moved here was upper 300s, like 380, 390. Now these homes will not sell for less than probably 525, 550 just starting out, because you can find finished basements in Whisper Rock, in Ashland Passage, in Tuscany subdivision. They're not building homes with basements as much anymore because the cost of the build is astronomically high and the time to build is really, really high. Basements are becoming more of a custom thing. Our final stop is here at Parkview YMCA. Now this is a great place for pretty much everybody in this area. I decided finally to get a gym membership here after trying about 3 other gyms. They've got pool. This is actually a great place for kids during the summer. They have summer programs. When our daughter first moved here 6 years ago, we enrolled her in one of those summer programs so that she could meet some kids in the area. So to get our bearings, if you're east of Lima or State Road 3, you'll be closer to these trails. And I'll even compare it to the school. So Carroll High School, Carroll Middle School is on the west side of Lima, so you'll be a little bit too far away from the trail. You'll have to drive to these trails. On the east side, you have Maple Creek Middle School. That is close to the trails. Not a big deal. Also around Maple Creek is Carroll Road. So Carroll Road is an east-west road. As you proceed northbound, it'll be DuPont, which Parkview YMCA is right on DuPont Road. And this is where all the amenities are. This is where the grocery store is, one of the Krogers, one of the Walmarts. They've got the dog place where you can get, I don't know, what do you get from dog places? The boarding places, places to get treats for your dogs, things like that. So everything pretty much centers around this area. Everything north of here, you're getting less and less amenities. Although we did a video right off of Gump Road, they're going to be putting something right there. If you go east of here, if you go down DuPont towards Union Chapel, they're starting to build a lot more things out there. They put a new Meijer out that way. They've got the Giordano's. Oh, what? Oh, they got a Chick-fil-A out there now? So there's a Chick-fil-A out there going east. I didn't even know that. The only Chick-fil-A on the north side of town is off of Lima Road. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Knowe. Me and my wife, Francesca, we're the Smiles with Dow's real estate relocation team. We help people just like us move to Fort Wayne to find that perfect home. And we know that this is a long process. It took me, almost 9 months, probably 9 months from the time that I thought about Fort Wayne to the time that I purchased my house. I looked it up online, and then I called a realtor, and I started talking to that realtor for months. And eventually I put an offer in on a house before I got here, but I was too skittish to go through with it. I actually asked the realtor to pull the deal. So I know what it feels like to try to buy a house sight unseen. And I pulled an offer on a house that was a walkout basement. I actually regret pulling that offer because that house is significantly more than the house that I live in now. Didn't know home prices were going to double in like 3 years. So I don't want you to make that mistake. We make these videos to advise you on the things that fit your lifestyle. If you're like me, you're trying to stay in shape, you run a little bit, you may want to be close to trails. So now that you know the best neighborhoods that are close to trails and away from Karens, watch my last video where I talk about North Anthony Corridor, and I'll see you there.